channel. I mean, it's different thing, Kayla, on YouTube. It says I'm live. Okay, now I'm live on YouTube, but I bet you money I'm not live on the same one. Okay. Good morning. If y'all just hang on just a minute and let me multitask and figure out what's going on. Kayla, no one owned the live that I just created. Oh, crap. I started a new one. Y'all bear with me. I'm letting the YouTube people come over. So, good morning. Grab your cup of coffee. And I'll tell you what all's going on. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Brianna. I'll tell you exactly what's. I hate this, y'all. I'm like this. I'm looking at my phone, looking at my computer. Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Rhonda. Let me turn this preaching stick on because I think I need the preaching stick for myself today. All right. People are finally joining, so hang on just a minute. Good morning, Sandy, Tina. Oh, shoot. Okay. This is the deal. The past 2 times I've been on StreamYard to do my lives. I'm fuzzy. My screen's messed up, but my voice is fine. And so I thought I would try something new, and not because I pay $50 a new StreamYard. So I'm like, well, if I could bypass that and go live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time through my phone and my computer, I'll try that. But then I started worrying about you people that want to chit chat before I get here on YouTube, because let you Facebook people know you can chit chat with the group before I go live on YouTube. You can do that on Facebook, but you can do it on YouTube. So anyway, so I thought I would do that. And so then I created the live, and I can't figure out how to get into the live. I have no idea what to do. So anyway, so I'm trying to go live, and I feel confused. I feel distracted because I'm looking at my computer. Then I feel like the Facebook people don't think I'm talking to them because I'm looking at Facebook, and I'm like this. Let's see. Let me see if I put this right in front of me. But then I can't read your messages. Oh, okay. I stuck my phone right in front of me, but now I see 2 of me, and I want to vomit. How are y'all this morning? I hate this. And another thing is, normally when I go live, I can see Kayla before I go live, and I can't see her face. So I feel like Kayla's not here. Although I know Kayla's here, but I feel like she's not here. So I don't know if this is going to work or not. But just bear with me as I try new things. Okay. Yesterday, I started my hormone test. I have been having hot flashes for the past 3 weeks, like nonstop, like during the day, all throughout the day. I'm out there doing water, and all of a sudden, bam, hot flash, and I'm dying. So I obviously am hitting the middle age menopause. And so I had a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old. And so my mother never went through the change. So I was thinking I was going to be that lucky person that never went through the change because mom didn't go through the change. So, that's wrong. So I went to the doctor and first I made an appointment. I'm taking my glasses off. I hear Larry up. So hang on just a second. Maybe he'll come in here. His medicine's on the table. Hang on. Hey! Hey!
Hey,
Your medicine's on the counter in the cup.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you have your oxygen on? So Jesus. Okay. So I called my GYN and I made an appointment with this guy that does pellets. And then, you start getting 100 different opinions. You're going to get cancer. I'm like, oh God, I don't want cancer. So I'm not want to go to him. So I was going to my primary care doctor anyway. And so I asked her about it. She said, well, let me do this hormone test to see what you're lacking. I went, yes. Let's see if, because, I will tell you probably about 15, 20 years ago, I started having hot flashes, but it was only at night. I was having, I'd wake up soaking wet, having to change clothes. So obviously I was in my 40s and I wasn't going through menopause. So before they gash pellets in my butt, is that where they put them? I thought, I need to see if it's even menopause. I don't want to I'm assuming it's menopause, but hey, it may not be menopause. So yes, let's go do testing first. So I had to go through this where I only was able to drink 40 ounces of water in a 24-hour or liquid in a 24-hour period. And I wasn't allowed to have caffeine. And I had to pee on this little, it wasn't a stick. It's a piece of paper, basically. It's like a piece of paper. So I started last night at 5:00 and you have to not drink anything 2 hours prior to peeing. So there's just these strict rules to this test. For test off to the lab. So before I even say that I'm in menopause, I need to make sure there's not something else going on with me because I've done this before. So that's why I am sticking. Some of y'all, I saw Lisa was wanting me to talk to Sherry. I need to find out for sure what's going on before I just start calling people saying I'm in menopause, because I thought I was, but it may not be that. So I'm trying to go to my doctor, have this test, see what's going on before I decide that I'm officially in menopause. Because last year, when I went to the doctor, I was not in menopause. So I don't know what's going on. It's probably, I do these weird things. I don't know if you're like me, but I go through these weird spells. I'll go through my face breaking out nonstop like a teenager for a while. And then I'll go through I don't know, this is disgusting. It's probably too much information, but it is what it is on this page. But I would go through these sweaty armpits that deodorant or nothing would cure. And I could not stop sweating. I mean, I'm talking dripping down my side. And so I had to go to the doctor. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I had to get Botox in my armpits to stop it. It's weird stuff. I'll be fine. And then all of a sudden this weird thing happens. So I might not be in menopause. I feel like I am because I'm 53, but I may not be. It may be something else off with me. So that's why I'm just going to go stop before I start researching and doing all these natural things. I need to talk to my medical doctor to find out exactly what is going on with me. Because, like I said, I've done this before. Praise Jesus for coffee. I could not wait to pee on my stick and drink a cup of coffee to have some caffeine, because I feel almost, if you've gone without caffeine for a little bit, I'm gonna tell you, this is what comes to my brain going through caffeine. If it's this hard not to drink something simple as caffeine, can you imagine what people that are addicted to drugs feel like trying to come off drugs? We're just dealing with caffeine, and it's a nightmare. You have headaches, you have withdrawals, you're ill, you want to lay in the bed all day because you're this, blah, and it's simple caffeine. So can you imagine if you're trying to come off, let's just say, pain pills or something? Can you imagine? And the first thing that comes to my head too, if this caffeine is affecting me, should I really be drinking caffeine? I mean, let's think about it. If you try to go without sugar, let's just say, and I'm going to tell you something. When I've tried to go without sugar before, it's worse than caffeine to me. It is like awful. I mean, I'm like this. I'm shaking. I'm having withdrawals from sugar. So you sit here and think in your head, okay, well, if I'm sitting here withdrawing this bad from stupid sugar, is it really that good for me? Uh, this was my last visit with her. So it was probably almost 3 months ago. I said, I'm doing so well now. I'm able to break things down. I have tools in my pocket. Is there any way I can come off my medication? And she looked at me like I had 4 horns on my head. And she said, Judy, the only way I would ever take you off medication is if you would quit eating sugar for the rest of your life. And I was like, what's that got to do with anything? You know what I mean? Like, and she has been to several seminars and things, and read several books about how sugar is linked to dementia, it's linked to depressions. And in the first, I thought I could do that. And then I thought, I can't even go without caffeine for 24 hours or sugar without 24 hours. How do I think I can do that for the rest of my life? So, this is what I think too. Having a hot flash. This is what I think. Y'all see my face getting red. Before you cast judgment upon someone that does or acts or anything other than you, okay, they act different from you, you try to go without sugar and caffeine. Let's give you 3 things. Before you cast judgment about someone else's issue, you quit sugar, you quit caffeine, and throw away your cell phone. That's what I'm talking about. Can you imagine going with no cell phone, so no social media, no Googling, no using maps, no using your bank app or your Venmo? Imagine going with no cell phone, no sugar, and no caffeine. And if you can do it, good for you. But before you begin to cast judgment about somebody else's addiction or somebody else's way of living or anything like that. You see if you can give up the things that the whole world is addicted to, as in sugar, cell phone, and caffeine. I know I can't do it. I know Judy Snead can't do it. I can't. Now, I will say when it comes to sugar, I can kind of trick myself. So, not last night, but the night before, I told you guys I start craving that is because of those issues. Because I'm just craving them because I'm Judy. Okay. So, anyway, so last night before last, I started it and I said, okay, I have got to put tools in my pocket for when I go ballistic and start craving sugar like a son of a gun. So I told you guys I went to the store and I took my little cell phone that I'm addicted to. I had my little Weight Watchers app that I'm addicted to. Okay, no, I'm not. And I went around the grocery store because you can scan the barcodes to see how many points they are. So I was going around the store and I was like, okay, let's talk about bread. Let's go to the bread aisle and let's see what is the lowest point bread. And I found that the lowest point bread item was a tortilla, the low carb tortillas. They're 1 point. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I can't tell the difference in a low carb tortilla and a regular tortilla. I mean, I guess I'm lucky. I don't know, but like they taste the same to me. So it's only 1 point in a tortilla. And I went, hey, okay, well, what I can do is start using this tortilla. I just spit all over my phone. Sorry. I can use this low tortilla as my bread when I want to make a sandwich. Because I noticed that when I eat bread, I bloat. So maybe there's some kind of gluten intolerance or something. So I started doing that. But then when I was craving the sugar, when I was in the store, I told you I sugar-free hot fudge syrup, fat-free whipped cream, and a banana. And it was, y'all, it was like I did not realize if you would have blindfolded me and said, what are you eating? I would have no idea that I wasn't eating regular hot fudge syrup. And now I could tell the difference because I use frozen fat-free whipped cream. And I can taste the difference in ice cream and whipped cream, but the frozen whipped cream is delicious. So I wouldn't have felt like I was like suffering not eating ice cream with my hot fudge sundae. So I think I probably could trick myself, but see, then this is what happens. When you start listening to everybody else, you start getting really confused. Because then people tell you, Judy, if you start taking hormones, you're going to get cancer. Judy, if you start eating artificial sweetener, I think they're telling me that causes cancer too. I'm not really sure, but it's like you can't. And I'm like, okay, well, dude, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to weigh 163 and die of heart disease instead of having sugar free? I don't know. It's like you can't win. So like at the end of the day, you have to listen to you. And what I've realized in life is I know there's horror stories to people that have, let's just say, done pellets. And I ain't saying I'm doing pellets, y'all. So just listen to me. There's horror stories. There's people that say, and some people have messaged me and told me about them getting, I think this one lady said it was breast cancer. She got breast cancer from taking hormones. That's awful. And when people tell you that, you're like, oh, I don't want breast cancer. I'm not going to take a hormone. But we have to remember that all of our bodies are different. They are. And what I learned yesterday is Larry had his therapist here yesterday and his nurse here yesterday. And we began to I've been trying to figure out Larry's dizziness, falling, and all this stuff. I've been trying to figure all this out. And I can't. First, I thought it was his oxygen. And then we've checked his blood pressure. Like, me as his daughter, oxygen and off oxygen. So I'm like, is it his oxygen? I mean, he's wearing his oxygen and he's doing it. Like, what the heck? And so the nurse sat me down yesterday and began to talk to me about the side effects of radiation. And one of the side effects of radiation, and I forgot, maybe you nurses can tell me, is, it starts with an S. It's where when you have this blood pressure problem. It's like not high blood pressure, it's not low blood pressure, but it's a pressure that changes when you stand. And it's a chronic problem. So like when you're sitting, you have normal blood pressure, but when you stand, it bottoms out, which makes you dizzy. And one of the side effects to radiation is this problem with blood pressure. So where Larry has been on 2 blood pressure pills his entire life, all that is changing now. So they've already taken 1 blood pressure pill away, and they're possibly going to have to take the other blood pressure pill away because his blood pressure when he stands is hitting the floor. And it's not doing it every time. It's randomly doing it. So that's why sometimes he walks like a champ and sometimes he is terrible. It's because it depends on what his blood pressure is doing. And so I was sitting there listening, and she explained to me, she's like, Judy, and I'm like, obviously not every person that does radiation has these side effects. And she said, you're correct. Everybody is different. So where Bobby Joe over here, oh, I miss Bobby Joe, where Bobby Joe over here might do radiation and not have those side effects, Larry does. And it's the same thing with, hormones. I might do hormones and get cancer, where Sally Sue over here might do the same pellet and not get cancer. So like it's a hit and miss. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. Because Larry's longevity, Larry had aggressive cancer. So these were his choices. He wasn't really a good candidate to have it removed because he wasn't in the best health. So his only option to live was radiation. That was his only option to live. And they said that if he did not do radiation, he would die within 2 to 3 years. And he sat us down and told us this. So it's like, do you live being drunk when you stand up? Consider, when you're faced with the word and you're trying to make the choices about treatment and they tell you the side effects, I will be honest with you. That was not a side effect they told us that would happen. So the reason they didn't is because Larry's probably 1 out of 1,000,000 people that get the whatever this blood pressure is called when he stands up. You just never know. You just never know. And like I said, with sugar, all these research and studies show. Let me back up a minute. So on the pack of cigarettes, it says can cause cancer. Right? Well, does that stop a smoker? Does a smoker every time they pick up a cigarette go, this can cause cancer? You know what I mean? No. Same thing with sugar. When you pick up a candy bar, it doesn't say it could cause dementia. But if on the side of the candy bar it said, this Snicker bar could cause cancer, is it going to stop you when you're craving a Snicker bar? Probably not. Because you're like, oh, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, I'll give you an example of me. Back in the day, tanning beds, when I was younger, like when I was in high school, a tanning bed was the thing. You had to be black to be beautiful. Like that's not happening today. But back when I was young, you were a nerd face if you were white. Well, I'm a redhead, okay? I'm white as crap, right? I burn. And so I used to live in the tanning bed all the time because I was embarrassed because I wasn't like Sally Sue over here with tan legs. I was over here with lily white legs. And when you go to the beach, you don't want to be lily white. So you live in the tanning bed and you go out in your backyard and you rub yourself with iodine and baby oil. Did y'all ever do that? Did y'all ever do that? No sunscreen at all. We literally laid out. I remember one time someone told me to use butter. And I remember being a teenager laying in the backyard and putting butter all over my body and laying out. That was stupid. So now I pay the consequences of my actions of laying in the tanning bed. I've had skin cancer. Oh, Lord. Probably 4 times. My mother had melanoma. My grandmother had melanoma. I've never had melanoma. I've had basal carcinoma and had to have surgery, but I've never had melanoma. But back when Shane and I lived in Stapleton, my skin started peeling really bad, and I wasn't sunburned. It was like peeling like crazy. And I usually go to the dermatologist once a year. I'm a regular because of my cancer. And so when I went to the dermatologist, I was like, what is all this? Do I have a rash? What is this? No, I was covered in skin cancer. My whole my whole chest was covered in skin cancer. And I had to do chemo. Now it wasn't chemo where you like lose your hair and stuff, but it was a topical. And I had to rub this topical on my chest. I can't remember how long. And it peeled all my skin off my chest. And I was raw. Like, because I can't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure we knew going in a tanning bed that it could cause skin cancer. I think it probably said it when you filled out the paperwork, to sign your life away that you were going to the tanning bed. I'm pretty sure it said can cause cancer. And all of us were like, I know, but Sally Sue has dark legs and mine are white. So I'm going in this tanning bed. I don't care if it causes cancer. I'm going in a tanning bed. But I just have realized coming off caffeine for 24 hours has caused me to be a train wreck. Like I'm ill. Shane's like, God dang, go get a cup of coffee, go get some M&Ms, go do something. You're so caffeine. I could actually feel me frustrated, and I thought, and see, it's the whole cancer thing. That should be a trigger in my brain to go, Judy, you need to switch to decaf coffee or caffeine free something. I don't know. But I'm like, it doesn't feel important to me because I'm craving it. But in your brain, the caffeine is not good for you. But in your brain, you're like, I don't care. I've done it this long. I'm just going to keep doing it. You got to die some way. That's how I want to go. As a matter of fact, speaking of that, my mother, bless her heart, her birthday was the 18th, so a couple of days ago. But she had strokes. If you're just joining me and you don't know about my mother's story, my mother had a brain stem stroke that left her paralyzed, and my mother was bedridden for 11 years. Well, when she first had her stroke, it paralyzed her throat, so she got a feeding tube. And as time went on, they did a swallowing test, and my mom passed the swallowing test. So my mom was able to start eating solids. My mom could not drink. If she drank one sip, she was choking. It was terrible. So what we would have to do is we would have to feed her, give her and tell her, do not drink this, do not drink. And she knew because she was scared she'd choke. So I said, rinse your mouth out. So she would put water in her mouth and go, and then spit it out, but she couldn't swallow the water. So we had to put water through her feeding tube. Well, Mom had many strokes along the way. And sometimes we would know, and there's sometimes we would not know. And so apparently, when she would have these strokes, she would sleep for like a week, like nonstop. And she was on hospice. So, anyway, well, she was wanting a steak, and she wanted to come to my house. And I was bound and determined. I don't know if I was not in acceptance or what, that my mother was bedridden. And y'all are going to think I'm crazy. But we had just bought a new house, and she was wanting to see our new house so bad. So I was like, what's it called when Make-A-Wish. So I was like, I'm just going to do a Make-A-Wish for her. In my own, I didn't go to Make-A-Wish, but I was like, I'm getting her to my house. So this is what I did. I went and rented a hospital bed for my house. And please keep in mind, insurance did not pay for that because there was a hospital bed at her house. Okay. And do you think the insurance company, if I called the insurance company and said, hey, listen, my mom is bedridden and has been for a long time and is wanting to come see my new house, will you please pay for an ambulance and the hospital bed for my house? No, they're not doing that. So my husband and I went and rented a hospital bed, and it was in our living room. And I had to pay out of pocket because let me explain. My mother was paralyzed. When you have paralysis, tone sets up in your body, meaning, like, let's just say, you know how some people have broken a finger and then they can't bend it. You know what I'm talking about? And then their fingers like this because they can't bend their finger. That's tone that's set up in their finger. So tone had set up in my mom's body. So my mom did not bend. She was like this, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't sit her up really. She had to lay kind of back because she had so much tone set up in her hips and her legs, and she had been paralyzed for so long that she didn't bend. And the way the therapist taught us is she said, this is what a paralyzed person feels like. And if you're paralyzed, maybe you can tell us if I'm right or not. But she said, take your finger like this. And so I did. And she goes, put your finger back here and touch. Well, obviously it ain't going to touch, right? She said, that's what a paralyzed person feels like when you go to bend their body. It feels like you taking your finger and putting it back here. It hurts like a son of a gun. So when my mom was doing therapy, she kept having strokes after strokes after strokes. So the therapist, insurance only pays for therapy for so long, and my mom's tone was setting up, and we couldn't, like, she would cry when we would go to try to exercise her. She would sit there and scream. And it was because it was so painful. So we got, as a family, we decided to stop because she hated it. She would cry. Okay, let me get to my story. So anyway, so to get her to my house, I could not put her in the car. Okay. I paid for an ambulance because I had to talk the ambulance into this, because they were like, we have our ambulance for emergencies. And I'm like, oh, this is an emergency. My mother needs to get to my house. Like, this is her last wish. Please, please. And so there was this ambulance service that was by my mom's house. And the lady went to church with my mother. I called her and I begged. I was like, please, I will pay. I will pay whatever it costs to get to my mom to my house. So she ended up doing it. So she got the ambulance, and my mom lived an hour away from me. So you can imagine how much the ambulance bill cost. But I paid for her to come to my house. Well, when she was in the house, she wanted a steak. And she said, I said, Mother, what if you choke on this steak? And she goes, Judy, if I choke on this filet mignon, it's the way I want to go. And I've never laughed so hard in my life. And that's kind of how you feel when it comes to caffeine or smoking or eating a Snickers, even though you know it's not good for you. You're like, if I die drinking this cup of coffee, dear Jesus, it's the way I want to go. If caffeine kills me, it's the put on my tombstone, caffeine lover. She died from drinking coffee. So that's what my mom said. She said, if I choke on this filet mignon, my mom was a funny person. If I choke on this filet mignon, it's the way I want to go. And I think about that often, but she didn't choke that day. After, I don't know, I'm going to say 5 years from that episode, my mom's caregiver was feeding her a hot dog. And the hot dog got lodged in my mom's throat, and my mom ended up dying choking on a hot dog. I'm sure she would have much rather been choking on a filet mignon, but instead my mom died choking on a hot dog. But you know, when you're making choices in life and there's a warning sign, sugar causes dementia, you bypass it. You're like, listen, you're like Jane, my mother. You're going to say, listen, if the way I go is dying on a chocolate chip cookie, then that's the way I want to go. You know, I ain't sweet enough. I need to eat sweets. And we just bypass, because it's not important to us, because we're living in the moment, right? We're not reading the label signs of what sugar causes because we're living in the moment, because it tastes good. Listen, I'm not telling you to go without sugar the rest of your life, because I can't do it. I ain't telling you to give up caffeine because I can't do it. I mean, I guess I could if I made up my mind, but it's not that important to me. It's not. It's not. I'm like, if the worst thing I do is drink a cup of coffee, I already gave up my Coke Zeros. What else, you know? But you have to, you know, sometimes in life, this is how I feel. When something is crippling, in other words, when something is robbing you of your joy, you know, if eating sugar causes you diabetes problems, let's just say, or if you're diabetic and eating sugar is going to kill you, well, that's another whole different ball game, right? It is crippling. Sugar is crippling you from having a regulated blood sugar, right? Caffeine. So if you have a heart condition and your heart doctor says no caffeine, and you sit here and crave caffeine and it becomes a struggle to you, well, then health. When something is crippling to you, and I'm not talking about just medically, okay? I will tell you, and you guys know this because I have fought an eating disorder my whole life. Gaining weight is crippling to me because it robs me of my joy. It robs me of my health because what I do when I'm either starving myself or I'm gorging myself. But I tell you that that's my personality. I hate his guts. He's the best husband in the whole wide world. And I've had to learn in therapy, no, he's not the worst husband, but he's not the best husband. He's somewhere in between. And it's the same thing when it comes to me dieting. Judy, you don't need to starve yourself. Judy, you don't need to gorge yourself. You need to be somewhere in between and live a healthy life. So when something causes you to be extreme one way or the other, or robs you of your sleep, when something robs you and you're up all night, I don't know. Let's say that you're up all night. I really need to clean the house. I really need to clean the house. I really need to clean the house. Oh my God, I need to wash the clothes. Okay, well, maybe you're OCD, let's just say. And you can't go to sleep until the dadgum clothes are washed. That is crippling to you when you're not getting proper sleep because your OCD won't get out of your dadgum brain when you lay down at night because you're thinking about all the stuff that you need to do. That is crippling. Now, one night, that's different. I'm talking about a chronic problem. When something is a chronic problem, that's what I'm talking about. So, that's when the problem needs to be addressed, is when it's a chronic issue, when it's robbing you of your joy, when it's robbing you of smiling, when it's robbing you of getting out of the house, when it's robbing you of having good health, when it's robbing you of smiling, things like that. Whatever it is that has a hold of you, that whatever has a hold has a warning label for you personally. Sally Sue, you are not sleeping tonight because you have OCD. And you're overlooking the label and going, I know that this is not good for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. I can't help it. It's just who I am. I'm just OCD. It's just who I am. I got to vacuum the house before I go to bed. That is when a problem needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed by a professional. Someone that can help you get over and through the trouble of, because I know for me, I don't know about you, but when I'm trying to fight something, I go in the opposite direction and become a fanatic. Like, for example, if I said, okay, my doctor, because I did read this, if this is menopause, let's just say, because it may not be, but if it is menopause, it said you should reduce caffeine. And so I'm the type of person is if I go into the doctor's office and she says, Judy, you need to limit your use of caffeine. Hot flash. You need to limit your use of caffeine. I hear in this brain of mine, you got to just stop caffeine, Judy. Just stop it. Are you strong enough to stop it or are you going to be weak? It's like this person's talking in my brain. Judy, you're such a loser. Quit drinking caffeine. You can do it. Are you going to be sitting on the sidelines? Are you going to sit it out or are you going to dance? You going to quit drinking caffeine or are you going to sit and drink caffeine and have hot flashes the rest of your life? Your doctor is sitting here telling you, do not drink caffeine. Are you going to mind them? Or are you not? But then I go to the extreme, right? That's what I do. I go to the extreme. And she did not tell me, do not drink caffeine the rest of your life. That's not what she said. She said the word limit your caffeine. But I heard give up caffeine. Just do it. Be strong, Judy. You can do it. Just give the crap up. It's not good for you anyway. That's what I hear. So then I go into this spell where I'm like, I'm not drinking caffeine no more. And I won't do it. And you see me with Coke Zero. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. But see, just get the preaching stick out. We need it. So this is the deal. She didn't say give it up the rest of your life. And she didn't say drink it all day long. She said limit. It's about balance. And I am trying to learn balance. I'm trying not to go extreme one way or extreme the other. I got to be somewhere in the middle. And a lot of times, I mean, maybe you're not like me. And maybe you don't maybe you're like, man, I wish was strong enough just to give it up. I'm going to tell you something. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because what it does in this sick brain of mine is it consumes me. And then all I do is beat myself up about let's in a Coke Zero. Don't do it. 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 And my brain, by the time 8 o'clock comes around, I'm so exhausted from my brain being in high gear that I fall out. I just literally just pass out on the floor at night because my brain is on overload. I can't do that. That's what makes me not balanced. So when I gave up the Coke Zeros, I did cold turkey give them up because I knew I had to before I began to introduce them back to me. I knew that I wasn't strong enough to be balanced when it was coming. I had to be just extreme cold turkey. Come on. It's like, the only way I know how to explain it to smokers. You know how some people I've cut back to a half a pack of cigarettes a day. And that's good, right? They went from smoking a whole pack of cigarettes to a half pack, and they're proud of themselves. I wish I could do that. I can't. My brain doesn't work like that. I am not disciplined enough to go, okay, I drink 6 Coke Zeros a day. I'm going to cut back to 3. Because I will sit and have these enormous cravings of Coke Zero, and it consumes me. I can't do it. I'm not strong enough to just be balanced. So what I have to do, now listen, this is the first time in my entire life that I've tried this, okay? Because normally what I do is like I said, cold turkey come off the Coke Zeros, and I'll do it for a while, and then I'll go drink one, and I'll fall right off the head, right off the bat. So like it would be like a smoker. So if you smoke, imagine going, I'm just cold turkey coming off the cigarettes. I'm just gonna stop. I've been smoking for 50 years. I'm sick of it. My house stinks. People tell me I stink. It's not good for my health. I've got lung cancer, and I'm just cold turkey quitting. And you quit. And then everybody praises you for quitting your smoking, how proud they are. And then one day, I don't know, I hear that when you have a drink, you want a cigarette, or you drink a cup of coffee, you want a cigarette, or if you eat a meal, you want a cigarette afterwards. So imagine you go, okay, I'm just going to smoke in moderation. So after breakfast this morning, when I drink my coffee and eat my breakfast, I'm just going to smoke one cigarette the whole day. If you can do that, most people cannot do that. I would not be able to do that. There's no way if I'm addicted to something, I could do one a day. There's no way. I have to cold turkey come off of it. And if I cold turkey come off of it, and then I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just going to drink one. I find myself wanting another one, and then another one, and then another one. But this time around, this is what I'm working towards, balance. So, first of all, I told you guys, I don't know why, but I do not like when I drink a Coke Zero, it makes me gag. It tastes terrible to me. I would rather have a Diet Dr. Pepper. I cannot drink Mountain Dews because of my bladder, but the Diet Dr. Pepper cream tastes so good. Okay, things like that. I have been able to drink one and not think about another one. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? I have been able to do it this time. And it's not consuming my brain. This is the first time in my entire life that I have been able to work on balance. But I'm trying to go in my brain. I'm like, okay, Judy, you're 53 years old. It's time to get your straight. Okay, come on, Judy, get it straight. Quit being extreme one way or the other. Quit going to your anorexic and then, fat as a pig. Let's go somewhere in the middle. Let's work on balance. Let's work on just being healthy. And healthy is not being extreme one way or the other. Healthy is being somewhere in the middle and going, okay, I am not going to be a Fruit Loop and just go crazy and go on this diet and become 120, 160 either. I need to be somewhere in between 160. Somewhere in between. And I need to maintain that. So what is it going to take for me to be balanced? That's how I am. Okay. You may not, how I said in the beginning of this conversation, I'm so slow now putting on my makeup. Have y'all noticed? You know how I said in the beginning, we're all different? Like Larry has this side effect possibly from radiation, but like you may not have that side effect from radiation. We're all made differently. You have to figure out your own self. And just as if you were sitting in a meeting and you go, my name is Judy and I am an alcoholic. My name is Judy and I do have an eating disorder. Like, first thing to do is admit you have an issue. So you have to identify what keeps you from being the best version of you. That's the first thing you have to identify. What robs you of your joy? What robs you of getting out of your house? What robs you of being balanced? What is it? What is it? And sometimes people go, I love this one. I hate my marriage, but I'm stuck. I literally hate my marriage, but I'm stuck. We've been married for 25 years and I ain't leaving because I'm not leaving. But I hate my marriage. I hate that son of a gun. Okay, you don't hate him, but you don't love him is somewhere in between, you know? And if you are in a marriage where you're like, I'm not leaving, but I hate him. Been there before because I have. I've been there. I've been married a couple times. I've been there. And I'm going to tell you, you will never be able to change your husband or your wife or your children. You're never going to be able to change them. But you can change you. And you can change the way you react to their psychoness. Okay? Does that make sense? You know, imagine walking in. If you're struggling in a relationship, pick up the phone and call a counselor and walk in the door and go, listen, hate his guts, but I ain't leaving. I hate his guts, but I ain't leaving. So teach me how to deal with his psychoness because he is a straight up psycho or she is a straight up psycho. And I need to know how to deal with a psycho. You know what I'm saying? And when you learn not to let someone else dictate your happiness and your self-worth and all the things that come about, you will be surprised how happy you are. You'll be surprised. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I started counseling in 2010. I went to the doctor, the psychiatrist, and said, dude, something's wrong with me in '06. In '06. So I started medication to help me in '06. And when I went to counseling, it's because my husband left me. My precious young girl that was 20. And my life turned upside down. Lost my job. Long story. I've told it before, but I lost my job. My son moved out. I lost my job. My husband left me. And I was a train wreck. And I walked into the counselor and I was like, how do I save my marriage? He's left me. He's left the house. He's dating this little girl that has small kids. What the crap? Like, what do I do? Just tell me how to save my marriage. And she was like, you can't. You got to save yourself. And that was the first day that I was like, what does that mean? I just tell me what to do. Give me the tools to tell me what to do to get my husband back. Give me the tools to tell, like, what do I do? Just tell me what to do and I'll do exactly what you tell me. And she was like, you can't do anything. You have to save yourself. And that day I was like, help me. I am at rock bottom. Help me. I have no job. I have no husband. I'm sitting in this house with a house payment of $1,800 a month. I have no money to pay my house payment. I have no food to feed my kids. What the flip do I do? I have no job. I'm psycho. I can't do this. And that was rock bottom. And she goes, you can't do anything. You got to fix you. So that day, I said, what do I do to fix me? And she goes, you're going to come 3 days a week for 2 years. And I was like, 3 days a week? Well, I ain't got a job, so I guess I can come. I guess I can come. Needless to say, I'm not going to go into all the gory details of how it all panned out right now. Maybe one day I'll tell you the truth, but about everything, but I'm not ready to take that step. So I'll hit the highlights. So I started going to counseling 3 days a week, and I started saving myself. Ended up moving back into the house in January, and it took me 5 years to get the nerve up to leave. 5 years. So it wasn't a quick fix. But when I began to start fixing myself, I started getting confidence in myself. I started trying to fix the things we wrote down. I remember in counseling, we wrote down everything that I hated about myself. Everything. And hang on. One by one. And so when I got the nerve to actually leave, my life changed because I realized what was holding me back was him. It was him that was holding me back. And I became this person when I was with him that I did not like. Actually, I was a person before him that I did not like. I was like, I have these problems and I don't know. And admitting to some of the problems was straight up embarrassing because I was doing things that were not good, but I was doing them in the closet. If that makes sense, meaning that no one knew but me. I was abusing myself eating. And you see, I started counseling in 2010, and here it is 2024, and I'm still working at her. Okay, I'm not. And as a matter of fact, I was in counseling last week, and I told her, I'm like, I've fallen off again. I'm like, I've screwed up on my eating again. It's out of control. She's like, let's start over. But 2010 to 2024, that's a long time. You would think I'd have caught on by now, but I haven't. But where you're a failure is when you give into it and just go, it is who I am. I've been like this my whole life. I'm going to continue. It's just who I am. No, it ain't. You a dang lie. You a dang lie. You can fix it. I don't care what age you are. Whatever you hate about yourself, you can fix. You know why? Because you're strong. But there's something in your head that tells you that you can't do it. You're too old. You're too weak. You have no support. You're in a bad marriage. All these excuses. I'll tell you something. I've been at rock bottom. I've been without a job. I've been without a husband. I've been left with. I've done it all. And I'm here to tell you there's a way out. The way out is you. It's not fixing him, fixing her, getting a job. The problem is you. And that's not easy to hear, that the problem is you. The problem isn't your husband, your children, your job, all that. No, the problem is you. The problem is you. And it seems like I'm being really mean right now. I remember when they told me the problem was me, I was mad. I was like, no, it ain't. I'm good. You know, you never, when you're in a situation, you never want to look within, right? Well, she did this to me and they did that to me and I lost my job because of my husband having an affair. And the reason I'm in debt is because my husband put me in debt. No, it's not. It's you. It's you. Because you allowed it. And you didn't put tools in your pocket to be in survivor mode. If your husband or your wife overspends, well, you should have a separate savings account, but instead you let into it. So you're just as guilty as the people you're pointing your finger at. When you're in crisis, you have to look within and go, what can I do different? They did all this to me. What's your ownership? What's your ownership? And when my counselor said to me, I was like, when I joined Al-Anon for the first time, I don't know how many years ago, 6 years ago, I said that I was forced to go to an Al-Anon meeting. Long story, but I was forced. I have addiction in my family, and Al-Anon is for addiction. And when I sat in that meeting and she began to tell me, she said, you're an enabler. I'm like, to crap I am. I am not an enabler. I'm the only person that sticks by him. You're an enabler. And I was mad. I didn't talk to my sponsor for 2 weeks. I was that mad at her. And then I realized I was at step 1. I was at step 1. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you have family in addiction, it's a good program to go through. But so many times we try to blame everybody else for our issues, instead of looking in the mirror and going, but what did you do? He caused me to get in debt. He caused me to have a nervous breakdown. No, he caused me. What's your ownership? Do you have any ownership in this? Is it all him or all her? Do you have any ownership? And we don't want to, when we sit down, if like, for example, if somebody said, why did you go through a divorce? Well, he caused me to go in debt. He abused me. He brainwashed me. He caused me to lose my job. He had OCD. He had, and you want to go, but see, we don't want to go, okay, why did you get a divorce? Okay. The reason we got a divorce is because I'm batshit crazy. Excuse my French. We don't say that. We don't say that. But we have ownership in it. But we don't want to look within. We want to go, all these bad things happen to us because of them. That's what we want to do. I'm guilty too, so I'm not getting them to you. I'm just as guilty. We want to tell you all they did, but we don't want to tell you what we did because we're in the closet with what we did. We don't want anybody to tell. And then if they tell our business, we're mad at them because they're abusive and they told all our business, when we do the same thing. We do the same exact thing. But imagine turning it around, and instead of somebody saying, why did you get a divorce? I just wasn't in a good place. It wasn't God's will. It just didn't work. Instead of telling all her business or all his business, what if we just said, you know what? That was in my past and it just didn't work. I was just as a train wreck as he was. And I don't like to talk about my business, so I ain't going to talk about his business because I was just as a train wreck. Because I was. I really, now that I've fixed me, I don't blame him for cheating on me, to be honest. You know, Diane, did I forget anything? I'm not wearing my hair like this, but I got my watch on, got my mascara on, got my lipstick on. You know, when you see me in YouTube videos, I don't look anything like this, do I? The only time you ever see me like this is when I'm in lives, because lately I have been really lazy and have not been getting ready in the morning because I'm hot out there and just sweat. So I'm like, why get ready in the morning? And I will tell you, affected my mental health not getting ready. When I see videos of my Judy, but you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I want you to know something. When you watch my videos, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, and you see things like she looks different with makeup on as she does without, you know what? You get the real version of me. I'm up and down a lot. And you get the real version of me. And I hope that you follow me because you want to see real people. Because I don't make up crap. I don't. I don't make up crap. I have made up one crap, but I ain't gonna tell you what it is. And that I felt guilty the whole time I did it. Okay. Okay. But I am not a makeup content kind of person to draw my numbers up or to try to see if I can make something go viral. That's not who I am. I'm just Judy. And if my page grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm thankful for where I am right now. I'm thankful that there's 63 people on YouTube, and I don't know how many. 63 people on YouTube and 42 people on Facebook. I'm grateful for every one of you being here. I hope that I said something that you can relate to and know that you're not alone. At the end of the day, we can't be extreme. I can't lose weight. I can't. I've tried every diet. I can't. That's a lie. That's a dang lie. You need to go to counseling because there's something in here that's causing you to say that. And if there's something medically going on with you that causes you not to lose weight, you need to fix it. And the only thing that can help you to be the best version of yourself is to go through counseling and begin to fix you. You can't fix her. You can't fix him. You can't fix your past, but you can choose the way you deal with it. So today is Wednesday. It's hump day. You have choices. You can sit it out or you can dance. And I hope you dance. I will see y'all next week. And Kayla, I don't know how to end this live. I can't end my live on Facebook. Bye, guys. I don't know how to end my live. Let's see. Let me see. Hang on. Y'all. I guess y'all stuck with me. I don't know how to end it. Let me look. Oh, end stream. I see it now. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.